Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family, wherever you are listening today. Thanks so much for joining the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. I'm Robert Wakefield. I'm your host today, so thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, appreciate that. We got a great show lined up for you, so go ahead and pour that first cup. Want your savings to do more than just sit there? With a money market certificate from the Nashville Post Office Credit Union, you'll earn competitive returns while keeping your money safe and sound. You'll enjoy higher dividends than traditional savings, flexible terms to match your goals, and it's federally insured to give you peace of mind. It's smart, secure, and built for postal professionals who plan ahead. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union. People helping people since 1925. And for our first cup this morning, I wanted to bring on someone who is, well, they're up there in the SPAC world, as we like to say. They got it going on. He's a super guy. He's the Executive Vice President of NAPS. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. Chuck Mullidor. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Robert. It's great to be on. I listen to Cup of Joe every Saturday morning, and so it's a real honor to be on. And I appreciate all you do with this podcast for the members not only of Branch 32, but for all the EAS who listen across the country. So it's great to be on.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And because you have said that, you will be receiving a $5 bill. So I want you to wait for that.
Perfect.
Every day.
For the SPACtacular.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that's the reason why I had you on. I'm glad you said that. We're in the last days of the September SPACtacular. And so I wanted to bring you on because you have firsthand knowledge of how SPAC is used. So give me, I don't know, what is your best success story as a result of SPAC?
Well, as you know, one of my job duties as the Executive Vice President is to manage our legislative portfolio, and SPAC is really the fuel behind that. So I guess probably our greatest success story, I think, would be the work we did on H.R. 1 over the past few months, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. And I don't want to, debate the merits of it one way or the other. There's a lot in there, but there were some things in there that were very, very bad for our EAS. And because of the relationships we've built with congressmen and senators over the years, we were able to have some really bad parts of that legislation taken out of there. Things like changing the high 3 to a high 5 and the 4.4% increase in FERS contributions with really no additional benefit from that. Eliminating the supplement so people could retire a little bit early, making people at-will employees. So the work we've done over the years with our congressional friends is only possible because of SPAC. So while we'd like to think that, our congressmen and senators meet with us for a lot of altruistic reasons because it's a civic duty and so forth, that would be great, but really it's SPAC. It's the money that we can contribute to their campaigns, help them get elected or reelected. That really is the fuel that fires up the SPAC engine. So those would not be possible if we did not meet with and talk with and advocate with many of the congressmen and senators that we built relationships with through contributing to their campaigns and so forth. So I think that was a great success story for us working with Republicans and Democrats, but specifically Republicans because they're in charge right now.
Right.
Both houses of Congress and the White House. So I think we did a lot of great work with that, and SPAC is what allows us to do that kind of work.
I've said in podcasts earlier that SPAC is not necessarily, it's not buying votes. It's building bridges. And that is exactly
Absolutely.
what you guys use SPAC for.
Exactly. And it isn't just something we use it for at election time. Oh, we're 6 months before an election. We want to start throwing money out there. It's something we do during an entire cycle. So a cycle is the primary season and the election season, so the general election season. So it's a 2-year cycle. And in that entire 2 years, we're active with meeting with people. We do a lot of conversations around the Postal Service nowadays because of some issues that I'm sure everyone is well aware of, different issues with delivering for America and so forth. So we do a lot of work with that too, just as far as meeting with people, trying to outreach and expand our reach. We've put a lot of effort recently into working with Republicans because, again, Republicans are in charge and they're the ones that can make some of the big and larger decisions. So it's an ongoing process with SPAC, and we've got a huge year coming up next year in 26, and we want to be a big player in that.
That's exactly right. And that's the reason that we, Branch 32, came up with the September SPACtacular, and we've tried to encourage branches all across the country to just give the $5. Can you just expound on how important that is, just doing the drive for $5?
Absolutely, and I love the SPACtacular. I love that you're doing it, and I hope it catches on across the country, because when you think about $5 out of your paycheck, you're not going to miss it.
No.
So that $5 that everybody could contribute out of their paycheck, it allows us to have a steady stream of income coming, a steady stream of money. So we can kind of plan and budget knowing that we're going to have this certain amount of money coming in every month, every year, and so forth. So that's a huge thing for us, rather than relying on individual contributions, maybe 50-50s we do at trainings and conventions and so forth, which is great to do. But the Drive for $5 allows us to have a solid base of support, a solid base of income coming in that we can count on, and we can plan how to use that money.
And that's the thing. It's 26 times a year. Money is flowing into that account. And that's what I love the most about the Drive for $5. And it's so easy. It's just simply going there and filling out the form, going to the worksheet and getting into Postalese if you're an active employee, or if you're a retiree, an associate, you just do it through OPM. So it's really easy to do.
Yeah, and it's absolutely easy, and it really impacts your job if you're working. Think about the negative consequences of some of those things in HR1. If we hadn't had the relationships we built because of SPAC with that, how much that would have impacted, potentially some devastating impacts to working EAS, as well as the issues we battle for retirees. The WEP GPO issue is a perfect example of that. The relationships we built over the years allowed us to be a part of a large postal federal community that got that WEP GPO repealed. And some $13 billion was paid out over that whole process. So these are things that directly affect people's working life as well as their retired life.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really struck me about HR1 is the fact that I retired and had the first supplement until I turned 62. That was critical for me to be able to retire early after 35 years. Had it not been for that supplement, I would not have been able to retire. And because of our relationships built through SPAC, we were able to get that removed.
Absolutely. And that was the one thing I think I heard the most from when people saw this proposed legislation. You know, they want to get out as soon as they reach their minimum retirement age, maybe 56, 57, 58. They don't want to wait around till they're 62 or older. So losing that would have driven a lot of people out of the Postal Service, number one. But keeping that allows people now to make those decisions. Do you want to leave a little bit earlier? Do you want to wait a little bit longer? It's a really important piece that people have. It's a great benefit to have, and I'm glad we were able to keep it.
Oh, me too. Let me ask you this, Chuck. Is there any upcoming legislation that you can think of where SPAC contributions will be critical? That's kind of putting you on the spot. Is there anything you can think of?
Yeah. Well, we've got a whole host of bills that we have that directly affect NAPS members. The Postal Police Bill, of course, is one we were advocating on. a great deal last year and continue that advocacy this year. Bills that would improve the pay consultation process, because we're in pay consultations right now with the Postal Service, and it certainly doesn't, benefit us in a way when the Postal Service can just reject a proposal that we make, or if we had to go to fact find, it can just reject a report of the fact finders, which is what happened in 2019, which led to the lawsuit that is still ongoing. So there's a lot of things we advocate for right now. It's a little tough. There's a lot of noise going on right now about things like the Jeffrey Epstein situation and a potential government shutdown coming up in the next few weeks. So it's tough to cut through the noise, but that's what we do, and we keep advocating for these issues and keep pushing for these issues. And some of these issues are long-term issues. Look, GPO took 40 years to finally get repealed.
Yeah, it did.
Right.
Took a long time.
It takes a long. Some of these things take a long time. Postal reform that we passed in 22 took 16 years to get done. So, we keep fighting through it until we get to the place where we got to be with it. But the SPAC dollars allow us to keep fighting for these issues forever, for however long it takes.
There you go. So in our final few minutes here, the September SPACtacular is coming to an end in a few days, and we are challenging all branches to get at least 5 members to sign up, because if every branch had 5 members, that would be $172,000 a year in SPAC.
Yeah. And I'll just tell you, in the last cycle, in 2024, we spent just a few dollars shy of $400,000. And we're not a large PAC, but that $400,000 we target to the right people in the right races. This year, I think the 2026 cycle, which we're in now, leading up to the general election next year, I think we need to be more active and have a more robust presence in that. So I'm looking to spend probably over $500,000 or more in these races in the upcoming 2026 cycle. We've got people that we want to get reelected. We've got some folks that have disappointed us, quite frankly, that we supported in the past, and when we needed their help in some swing districts, they didn't come through for us. So we're already interviewing candidates for the 2026 primary season, general election season. We're going to be an active player in that process, and SPAC, the Drive for 5, allows us to do that and to have a much larger role in this upcoming, I think, very critical election season in 2026.
There you go. Well, Chuck, thank you so much for being on the Saturday Cup of Joe. And is there anything else that you would like to say about the September SPACtacular?
Well, I just appreciate your leadership on creating the SPACtacular. I know it's known all over the country. The people have talked about it. I hope others follow along with it and do it. It's critical, and I really appreciate the help you're giving to SPAC and the forward thinking and the vision that you have in Branch 32 to kind of lead this charge. I really appreciate you, Robert. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chuck, for coming on the Cup of Joe, and we'll talk to you next time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Banking should be made simple. That's why Ollie, the Nashville Post Office Credit Union's virtual assistant, is here, ready to help 24/7. Need quick answers? Ollie delivers secure, instant solutions right at your fingertips. No wait times, no hassle, just smart banking made easy. Whether you're managing your finances, exploring loan options, or just need guidance, Ollie is always ready to assist, wherever and whenever you need. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our second cup today, I just want to remind everyone that these are the last days of the September SPACtacular, a drive that Branch 32 initiated, challenging our own members and challenging branches across the country to sign up for the Drive for 5 program. And so the goal is the floor. We're just asking for 5 members, new members, to contribute through the Drive for 5 in the month of September and from every branch. And if we do that, like I mentioned earlier with Chuck, it could bring in over $175,000 a year just by adding 5 members to that very thing. So It's a challenge for Branch 32. It's a challenge for everyone. But here's something that I've been hearing, and it's a legitimate concern. I mean, it's a legitimate discussion point, so I've got an alternative for that. Many of you have already used your 3 allotments, and that's all you get as an active worker. You have 3 allotments that you can choose from and to where you want your money to go. And that's fine. I get that. That's not a problem. But the solution is this. I want you to go to napsbranch32.org, and under Important Documents, you will see the third part of our SPACtacular, and that is a donation form. The donation form is available also at naps.org if you want to do that. But the thing is, write a check for $130 to SPAC. That's $5 a pay period times 26 pay periods. You're going to do it anyway. If your allotments are full, which is fine, go ahead and make that September SPACtacular by donating $130 to SPAC. As Chuck was mentioning earlier, that how important it is as we're coming up on this election cycle, and we shared from my good friend Dee Perez how much UPS spent. They spent like $4 million on SPAC, and it was about $2 million that FedEx spent on their political action committees. So we're very small compared to those, but we need to make as much impact as we can. The thing about SPAC is the fact that we cannot just sit back and expect things to happen. We have to build those bridges, and SPAC is the way that we do that. So there's the challenge. 5 members, the September SPACtacular is coming to a close, and I really hope that all of you will participate in this program. I just signed up today. As a retiree, I signed up. There's the forms there at naps.org, napsbranch32.org. You can find that under Important Documents. I signed up for $10 a pay period, $10 a month rather, right here on my computer. So everyone can do it. Let's make this really spectacular. I know that was kind of corny, but I kind of liked it. Okay, you know what that sound means. The show is over. Congratulations, you have sat through another episode of Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. Hey, please tell me how many members you had sign up for the SPACtacular. This is the last 4 days of the month, and we really want to make a push here. Be sure to get your members to sign up today. And be sure to share this podcast with all of them as well, because that's the way this thing grows. I'm Robert Wakefield, and remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of Joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupofJoe@gmail.com.